Luke looks at Coda. Coda looks at Luke. The dragon nods, and a silent sound begins. Oh, a silent count begins. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Coda grabs a table and heaves it away from the wall with a loud roar, while Luke surges towards the predator's screech and his weapon held high. Hiya! Eep! The little creature flinches and screams as its hiding place is yanked away. With a yelp of fear, it tries to scrabble back into the shelter of the table. Get away! Something slams into Luke's back, wrapping thin arms around the griffin's neck. With a high-pitched war cry, and then a pile of junk erupts, and another little creature flings itself at Coda. Pandemonium fills the room, grunting and screaming, scratching and scrambling. Coda stumbles and trips over the thin-limbed body, and Luke staggers and grunts with every blow of tiny fists to the crown of his head. But while the two were surprised by their assailants, they were both larger and stronger. Luke reaches to grab the thing clinging to his back, and even as the creature snaps and snarls and squirms in his grip, the griffin manages to pull it off. Coda, meanwhile, rolls on the ground to grab the cowering little thing that tripped him up in the crook of one arm. The creature that slammed into the dragon's side tries to scamper away, but despite his size, Coda was swift. He surges like a tide to engulf the fleeing foe. The pair finally stand bruised and mussed, but victorious. Their wriggling opponents let out shrill squeaks of panic as they're carried over and set down near the obsidian hall. When the little creatures look around for an escape route and see the dragon and griffin boxing them in, they wail and huddle together while cowering on the floor. Let us go. We didn't mean it. Please, don't hurt us. The dragon and griffin stare down at the diminutive reptilian beings. Luke takes in scraps of clothing the trio were wearing, scavenged no doubt, while Coda tuts at the sight of their pallid scales and sunken features. It's the dragon who finally sighs and crosses his arms, gazing down at the shaking lizards. Hush now, little ones. We will not hurt you, I promise. Tell that to my aching head. Coda shoots Luke a look, and the griffin goes back to sulking while rubbing at his bruised noggin. I am Coda, an employee of the hotel. Tell me, are you the ones who have been stealing food from upstairs? After sniffling and wiping his snout, the darker-scaled lizard speaks. We had to. We've been starving for so long, and we won't do it again. Honest. Just let us go, and the lizard looks up at Coda and trails off. The yellow eyes peer at the looming male for a long moment, then grow wide. A dragon. The other two lizards fall silent, as if the world was flipped a switch. They too lift their heads to look at Coda, and the same expression of awe spreading on their darker-scaled companions' face lights their face. This music is loud. They too lift their heads to look at Coda, and the same expression of awe spreading on their darker-scaled companion's face lights their stares. The other two lizards fall silent, as if the world was flipped the switch. They too lift their heads up to look at Coda, and the same expression of awe spreading on their darker-scaled companion's face lights theirs up as well. Dragon? Is it really a dragon? It is. It's a dragon. The three lizards chirp with delight, and their snouts split open wide, toothy, beaming grins. A dragon. A dragon. We finally found a dragon. Wait, this means we... Blinking eyes widen in realization And then horror, the trio throws himself down to the ground at Koda's feet and cling to the dragon's ankles. We're sorry, we didn't know. Really, it's alright. Peace, little ones, peace. Koda looks from the whimpering lizards over to Luke, his own expression dumbfounded. He murmurs vague consolation to the trio while bending down to give them a gentle path between their horns. So, what are these guys? I believe I have an idea. Regardless, they aren't a threat. In fact, it seems that they are in such a need for shelter as any other guest of the hotel. Yeah. In that case, guess we should tell Lucy and Asterion about them. At the moment, the Minotaur's name, Koda's gaze drops to the floor. Indeed. What's wrong now, Blue Boy? It's nothing, although Koda extracts himself from the supplicating lizards, giving them quiet instruction to stay put for a moment. They chirp in obedient acknowledgement, watching along with Luke as the dragon returns to the table. Koda picks up the file folder he'd been flipping through, and before the interruption, would you mind confirming something for me, Mr. Walker? He holds the folder out to the griffin. Sure. What you need now? Just read and I think you'll understand. Alright. When the dragon hands the document over, Luke begins to flip through them. Huh? What? What the hell is this? Finding a lack of coveted leftovers, a man must rise up to the challenge. After a makeshift snack for you and Asterion, you start to work on the most divine of all foods, bread. Raise your fingers over a heaping cup of flour to rid of the excess less than a spoonful of salt, water, and yeast mixed together to bring it back to life. Each ingredient in its rightful quantity and proper place. Mix it all, first uneven lumps, then half-mixed strings, sticky enough to form a web of index to thumb, firm enough to be plucked. Keep mixing, it'll stay between your fingers like a memory of times when our ancestors had webbed hands. Sweat drips from your forehead. Struggle with a towel to wipe it, leave a string of dough on it. Wait, let the bread rise. Knead it, grab its edges and fold it over itself 4, 8, 12, 16 times. Let it sleep inside a basin. It takes a while for the bread to rise, enough to push off the lid, but surely enough, the time comes. A sharp scent of alcohol shall rise. Knead it. Feel as it resists against your grasp until it's been folded on its own. Folded in itself into a neat, smooth ball against almost bursting at the seams. Knead and rest until ready. However, many times it takes. There is something divine in all the stages of baking. The smoothness of flour, the diminutive heat of the activated yeast, the eye-watering scent of alcohol fermentation. Chief among them is the aroma of bread in the oven. Chief among them is the aroma. What? Chief among them is the aroma of bread in the oven and the joy of sharing it. Look up. There's something on the sofa, your servant, roommate, business partner, dear guest, a man's mind in the body of a hybrid. There's something divine in the eyes, in yours, in his, in the eyes of the mankind, all the beautiful human-like beasts with which of our empire was built. It hasn't been long since you met this man called Asterion, but the cadence of his voice, the reverence in his words, the shifts in his eyes. By now, there may be familiarity. His moods are clear in your mind's eye, At times, you might even find yourself anticipating the next step of this dance. What a pagan ritual this is. Cooking for a Minotaur. What a pagan ritual this is. Cooking for the Minotaur of legend. While he broods, his rough fingers graze and tap away at the tablet until he finds an issue he cannot resolve. His posture goes rigid, and you know how well to check on him. It happens every 20 minutes. It fits well with the dough's rest times. He's quiet now, more than when you left him, at whatever attempt at extracting some of the truth is met with disoriented grunt. Give him time. The both of you have it in plenty after all. Go back to your pagan ritual of kneading through dough for the brooding man. Be dutiful. There is something divine at play in cooking in mankind's eyes and hands. In mankind's eyes and hands. Should fortune smile, you too will carry this divinity yourself. Let time pass, eat and drink. Let the man rest. His heart dances to its own odd rhythm. Is this what you were after, I wonder? Why did you, master of masters, come to this sorry desert? Here, the Lord may summon diamonds at his fingertip, but is not why you were enticed with his own land. Perhaps this is what you were after, a realm where a man may conduct the pagan ritual of finding a kindred spirit. There is something divine in providing grace to an ailing soul, and so you must cook while he rests. You are the master, and for this silent afternoon, he is your guest. Slave away at the oven, open the wine, pour its contents in the finest glass. Call the man to the feast, even if the appetite is lacking. You eat in silence, you hum and tap your feet, to a beat only gods know. You exchange your glances and ponder how his eyes always seem to wait. Too wet. Wait, there's a table between us. When did that happen? Asterian's nostrils flare as he lets out an old, stagnant air accumulated in his lungs. His shoulders drop as a shiver crawls up his spine, leaving a trail of hairs standing up. His chest thrums a bassy rumble. Hooves scrape against the floor. You feel his voice 5 beats before it arrives. I don't have it in me to pretend anymore. What do you mean? I don't deserve any of this. The Minotaur looks through you, hazy eyes, tired and fearless. I'm afraid I don't get it. He parts his mouth and draws a breath. From your place across the dinner table, you can hear a wheezing. He licks his lip, but the tongue is just as dry, cups his hands together and rubs them for warmth. Today, his voice is not high-strung as usual. Each syllable flows without rhythm or dance. I am a wretch, Lucian, born and killed like one, sentenced by the gods for my cowardice. The Minotaur pinches his forearm and twists. He bites his cheek, deforming it inwards, when his jaw grows tense as he tests his own limits. When he left, I read about me. My own story. Nothing I wasn't aware of, but it was interesting to see it all laid bare. Would you care to hear it? All of it, from the beast itself. The Minotaur draws another struggling breath. He pinches his forearm harder, twists it, and it unlocks his throat once more. A drop of sweat runs down his forehead to his chin, then drips to his clothes, his ears, and tails flick, back and forth, as if hornets were floating around them. Between the two of you, There is only a short wooden table. About arm's length, its corners were once sharp. Now they were blunted by age and wear. You ignore the question. Instead, more pressing matters come to the surface. His twisting of his arm and wheezing of his throat, the death-black fear consuming him. He is at your arm's reach, but the distance is insurmountable, and his question whether or not he may proceed is the wrong one entirely. You nod and he begins. I was sentenced to this land because of my cowardice. I allowed a man to kill me. My mother lost herself during my birth. Bringing a monster to life is reason enough to lose half of one's own mind. I had siblings too many to count, although as you may guess, my mother's body could not bear another after my birth. My guard was my friend. His name was Phronios. I was not allowed to work, but I made myself useful. My father, king, and highest priest of our faith, would take my blood during my fertility. Would take my blood to bring fertility to the people's crops. In the stories I read about myself, they called me a cannibal. And here's the truth, Lucian. Indeed I was. One day my 3 sisters tricked me into eating beef. I am half bull, after all. Doing so is just as much cannibalism as it would be eating human. I had been taught to avoid it, but they deceived me. From that moment onwards, my life went to ruin. I was sent into a labyrinth where I lived out my rest of my days. It was a punishment, yes, but also a safety against whatever fears they had. It was also a duty. I was sent there to tend to a temple and keep the relics safe. I tended to the flame, Lucian, for years. Only once did it go out, and it was not out of negligence, although in retrospect I wish it was so. I killed a holy man. His son brought me to him in the hopes I could put him out of his misery, and I did. But that was an unforgivable crime. I was stained with it. I took the life of Zeus himself, had marked as everlasting. What could I have done after that? But the man's son told me sweet words. A redeemer would come, he said, so I waited, and he did arrive. I gave my life. Cowardice is what as it was branded as. Wait, what? I gave my life. Cowardice is what it was branded as. An ignoble disgrace. At best for a prince to give his back to a blade, with no valor fought. But in Hades I found peace. My brother Androgeos defended me, and the judges of the dead cleared me of my charges. I enjoyed 3 years of freedom in Hades before I was kidnapped to this realm to serve the sentence the gods saw fit. For centuries the masters did as they pleased, until one saw it fit to end my trials. I am rotten, Lucian. When I am wounded, that's what leaves me. Rot and decay. I am dead. I know what will happen. You don't have to lie to yourself about who or what I am. Neither do you have to deceive me or prolong it out of kindness. You will grow tired of me, as they all do eventually. I do not have it in me to be a toy, to be talked like a man. You have shown yourself to be kind, more than those masters. But I know that it's only a matter of time until you grow bored and see that it's foolish to take care of a slave left for yourself. We're going to redo that. You have shown yourself to be kind, more than most masters, but I know that it's only a matter of time until you grow bored and see that it's foolish to take care of a slave for yourself. That anticipation, the tension, that I cannot bear. Pain, on the other hand, I have mastered. So please, let's end the charade. I cannot bear it any longer. Do as you please with me. You've come to quite a way in your journey, good master. You've come quite a way in your journey, good master. Inherited an old treasure of humanity, investigated it in its inner workings, healed the keeper, overcame the snake's allure, welcomed wanderers, both virtuous and unsightly. And yet, it did not cost you much. Your actions were all small and unexceptional. You did not bleed for it or toil for it. But goodness does not always come from blood or sweat. Sometimes doing the decent thing when faced with infinite temptation is noteworthy enough to be heroic. You could have given in to your baser urges. To become a human, a boy sacrificed part of his potential harm. Those small unbidden things that grit your teeth. Decisions. Who are we? Maybe I'll save. Who knows? Oh yeah, I'll save here. Yeah, right there. Okay. Alright, who are we? We are Lucian. Time to become a man, a boy sacrificed part of his potential to harm. Oh my god, what does that mean? To become a man, a boy sacrificed part of his potential to harm. Does that mean we give up harming people? Those small inviting things like grit your teeth. I hope this doesn't that could mean I just do that though. I don't want to go into my baser urges. Wait, what even are my base urges? I don't have anything. What are you doing, Lucian? Nah, not this one. I think this is the best one. Or this one. A newborn holds infinite possibilities for bad and good. But the boy sacrifices potential in his path to adulthood after all, as a man and his potential to harm is snipped away by all the choices weighed him down. So rise, good master, and reveal yourself. I'm afraid you misunderstand who I am. You are human. So are you. Haven't we discussed this before? But what are you asking me? What you're asking me, I refuse to do it. It is not a matter of what I am, what a human is. It's about who I am. I have been kind to you, Asterion. We have not known each other for long, but not just humoring you or making fun of you to call you my friend. Well, you want me to just end your doubt and hurt you. I don't know what previous masters might have done or how they acted, but for my part, I just don't have it in me. I won't hurt you, and I don't say this is an act of kindness or charity. It's just who I am. So if I was to be firm with you, anything, it should be this. No, I won't. Maybe you are right in the same sense. That the pain I can inflict on you is more bearable than the distress you feel. But I am not that man. I will not give up from what I believe is right. Being kind to you isn't a game. It's just basic. It's decent. It just is. Well, you consider me your friend, Asterion. Oh shit. Do you consider me your friend, Asterion? I realize that this tricky question, the power I have over you, is nothing short of absolute. But listen to what I have said. I will not hurt you. This is not charity or mercy. It is the right thing, and I will stand by it, even if I have to shackle myself to do it. His breath hitches at the mention of shackle. But I must ask a question. What we have gone through so far was all of it a master and servant going through the motions? Or was it you and I, Asterion and Lucian? The Minotaur blinks and feels the velvet around them the night before, when they embraced. How he forgot the sound of his own footsteps. You told me about the hotel's mission, to give a place to those who have nowhere to go. I am telling you right here, right now, unequivocally, that I swear by it. I will hold on to the mission. And you do not have anywhere to go either. So this place should be a place for you too. I won't hurt you. The Minotaur's cheeks deform as he bites on it. He sinks his nails into his own forearm and drags them as if twisting his own skin. He draws a breath. O Lord of Guests, he thinks. What devising sent me this man to me? Fates. Fate, is he yet another one of the trials devised to break me? Or Lady Hestia, have you taken pity on me one last time? Or was it your own grace? Earth-shattering Poseidon, please give me a sign that this is true, and not yet another suffering I must endure. We can do this together, but I must ask you something of you. See me as myself, Lucian, not as master. I wasn't telling you about making us into partners. What was it you told me that the labyrinth wouldn't make it official? A few times you referred to it as this whole land as a labyrinth, right? I suppose that it's what it meant to be called. Oh, I suppose that's what it meant what the flip? A few times you referred to this whole land as a labyrinth, right? I suppose that's what it was meant to be called. But I don't see much of a labyrinth. This is clearly a hotel. That is the truth. That is the truth you built. And even if there are contracts and laws beneath it, it won't stop from being a hotel. So does it matter what it's called? What word we give it? Don't the facts take precedence? So fuck the labyrinth and its rules. We'll order the facts and make reality. We don't need a contract to make things work. We can just do it. Say you are my business partner. Go with it. And before long, everyone will believe it. Because it's the truth. More of it than any piece of paper will ever be. If my word means something, if I can stick to my promise, then you can and will be my partner. The roaring, overpowering silence wrenches over the Minotaur's heart, crushing his lungs and washes away anything Lucian could say. He coughs but doesn't notice it, and when he opens his eyes, you aren't supposed to cry this early. You haven't even heard my speech. We will have all the time to catch up once I save you, little star. Now, don't worry. You made quite a mess, but I know you better than you know yourself. I'll show their excellencies just what kind of person you are and are. Oh wait, no. Now don't worry. You made quite a mess, but I know you're better than you know yourself. I'll show their excellencies just what kind of person you were and are. By the weight of my words and the value of my promise, it won't be long before we are taken away from here, my brother. By the weight of my words and the value of my promises, it won't be long before we are walking away from here, my brother. Your excellencies, may I begin? No, he did not just cry. He did not anger the gods. He did not get shipped to 100 different labyrinths. And during that night when he was visited, he did not reject his requests. Forsake the labyrinth. We can worship the gods all the same. Pay their due respect. In our own hearth, we can build a shrine around it. If my words and promises ever carried weight, then come, Asterion, and I will take you as my brother. Yes. The Minotaur looks at you as if your face caught him off guard, just as reality itself rose back into his mind. He draws breath, but this time it does not hitch. In fact, it overcomes all the stagnant air. A lungful so fresh it brings a wetness to one's eyes. I am sorry for my disrespect. I was inconsiderate during our conversation, Lucian. There is no reason to be sorry. I would appreciate it if you spoke to me with this frankness more often. I am afraid I cannot take another conversation like this so soon, Lucian. This has been the hardest thing I've done since... Let's not go there. Indeed, no reason to poke those old memories. I will need some time. That is no issue. We have all the time in the world, right? We do. I remember you mentioning I reminded you of a friend. Is that the Pronos fellow you talked to about earlier? The Minotaur looks down to his hands. His right settles on top of the left and scratches it, his nails digging into it as if trying to unearth his veins. Am I allowed to ask why I remind you of him? You are the master, of course you are. Please stop that. I am a person, just treat me like one. None of this is about orders. This master... none of this is about orders. None of this is about orders. This master that... If you don't want to answer, it's fine. That's the end of it. It's because of things like this you remind me of him. He was my guard. That was his official role, but in truth, he was my friend and playmate first. He was assigned to me when we were both children. The way you talk, the things you speak, your disregard for hierarchy. The way you look at me, I have caught myself thinking as if you were him. If Phronos had been a master, he would have been like the others. Would he have harmed you? If Phronos had been a master, would he have been like the masters? Oh. If Phronos had been a master, would he have been like the others? Would he have harmed you? No. There is nothing in this world I am more certain about than that. Why are you so sure he wouldn't? He wasn't that kind of man. It had never crossed his mind. Asterion knocks his knuckles on the wooden table. He licks his lips, and this time his tongue leaves a sheen of saliva. His eyes alternate from looking at you to deliberate drawn-out blinks. He draws a breath, then lays both of his hands on the table. He breathes out, and his arms inch a bit further. It's such a small distance, no more than an arm's length. In fact, it is almost cramped, as if you had to contain yourself to nook of the room. It's such a small distance. It's such a small distance. No more than an arm's length, in fact. In fact, it's almost as if it is almost cramped. As if you had to contain yourself to a nook of the room. Hold his hand and comfort him. Insist the point. Give him space. Well, who cares about space here? We have no space, so give me all your space. Hold his hand. Yeah. You raise your hand and inch off the table. It feels light, not at all awkward. The Minotaur gives it a brief glance, a deliberate blink, a long exhale. You lay over it. The veins pop on the back of his hands. You could trace them with your fingers, following the short fur's direction. It's cold and sweaty, but not badly so. Your warmth mustn't be mustn't be unwelcome. In fact, the Minotaur closes his eyes and breathes in and out, and droops his shoulders. The touch lingers for a short while. Time demands his due. You let it go before overstaying your burden. You're welcome. No, not long after the Minotaur retreats to his room. You refrain from your interrupting his peace for as long as possible, but hours later you remember Luke's offer to the Stargaze. Perhaps it would be best allowing Asterion to some time alone. Perhaps it would be for the best allowing Asterion some time alone. He doesn't have to go out if he doesn't want to. While you are dressing yourself, however, he comes out of his room. Are you going out? Yes, Luke invited us to go stargazing tonight, remember? You don't have to come if you don't want to. Oh yes, I was meaning to ask about this. Would you perhaps, Luke, mind if I brought my lyre along? I'm sure we'll appreciate your songs. A night with friends. Indeed. I'll only need a minute to get ready. I'll wait for you. Before sunset, the Griffin took out a few chairs to the parking lot. The stars above sparkle like a vein of ore. Luke is bathed in a light from the series of battery-powered lamps he brought with him. He pores over the papers strewn on the table, both his notes and the roughed-up book, as long as your arm. It's an atlas of starry sky. The wind threatens to blow it away, but the Griffin uses a lamp as a weight. You saw him taking all these things from the car's trunk. The Minotaur caresses his lyre, a sequence plucked, a plectrum grazing the strings, then shifting notes as he tunes it all. You and Coda look at each other, then off to the side. The three little lizards scamper around you. They approach you to take a closer look, eyes glimmering in the dark. Their little claws click against whatever trinkets they pick up to examine, keychains, pens, empty beer cans being passed around for half a minute before being pushed back to where they were. After the slightest movement, they run off to the yard or two into the wilderness and hide behind a rock. They chitter like birds, then go silent until the tops of their heads pop up from the rock. You slip them a few treats, some grilled chicken bits and tuna sandwich, a few apples. Their fingers are grubby and so thin. Could you enlighten me with what exactly they are? This dude. Their answer's simple. This sky is like nothing I've ever seen before, Asterion. The Minotaur looks up to the Griffin, blinks, and returns his attention to the lyre. As I was saying, that's easy to answer. Years ago I heard of a playful breed of diminutive reptile-like beings, said to live and toil underground. I've seen a handful of times in my travels, mainly the old world. But about a century or more ago, these boys had grown awfully scarce over the last decades. If memory serves me, they are called kobolds. Kobolds? Like the metal? Indeed. I suppose it must relate to them being underground critters. A yard away from the four of you, the kobolds fight on the ground. The chubby lizard crawls on the floor. The chubby lizard crawls on all fours and charges towards the darkest kobold, who dodges and immobilizes him. The loser groans, not too different from a shrill Moo. From a shrill moo, okay. Coda, are you not wearing pants? Oh my god. The chubby one splays himself on the ground. The butchered cattle and plays dead. Over his corpse, the other two lizards, the dark and light one, wrestle. When one trips on the chubby one, on the chubby boy, he quickly crawls away, then stays by the sidelines fidgeting and hugging himself. The dark boy wins, but a rematch follows. A cloud of dust rises, grunts and shrieks pierce it. The chubby boy groans something a bit, but neither of the two listen to him. And are you sure they're safe to keep around? What if they are rabid? If I am correct in my assessment, then yes, I'd say so. Some people will see these little ones as pests, but they are diligent workers, assuming they are treated well. And I'll have you know, they are quite resistant to just any disease you can imagine. Plus, they are cold-blooded. No chance they can get rabies. They are very hard to kill. I see. And just to be sure, what exactly does treating them mean? Oh, they don't need much. Food, water, a hole to sleep in. Shiny rocks and metals if you want to reward them. The shinier the better. They love pyrite. You can rely on them to work hard, although occasionally they may get distracted and goof off. Take a look. I'm pretty sure there's... Take a look. I'm sure they're about to pull something off. The Cobalt's wrestling match reaches into conclusion. It would seem the darker lizard won time and time again, but this time the lighter one broke an ancient rule by pulling the other one's tail. He straddles closer and lets out a growl of victory, made throaty and ragged from promise of violence lying underneath it. He's tired of the humiliation, time and time again losing, and the consequence of being put through the disgrace of eating the greenest apple. That's the good one, though. What are you talking about? By the gods, how many times can a man be made to eat a burnt edge of a bread slice before losing his faith in justice and fairness? He pulls a weapon, a crumpled beer can. It is the time for violence. The chubby cobalt throws himself to stop him, snorting and shrieking as snot runs down his nose. But their fate is sealed. Cain and Abel cannot avoid the tragedy were put in by God. In the last second, the darker cobalt ponders about life. How there is no grand epiphany before one meets his end. No enlightenment, it all just ends as abruptly as one's first memories begin. The lighter cobalt brings the can down to the other's skull. It makes a dull thud, then bounces off of a feet or two away. The loser lets out a dramatic wail, and filled with curses of demons and pleas to the gods, while the victor yells in maddened glory. The chubby one cries and grieves. The winner takes the spoils, the ripest apple, the thickest chicken bit, and the middle of the sandwich overflowing with tuna. What a sick, twisted world this is. The chubby boy can only wail, moaning his characteristically oh, I said it. Shrill, moo, and invoke the Furies to bring retribution. The victor lets out a final shriek of glory. Hold it, let it ring across the valley until it all lies down. The end. Three boys rise, hold each other's hands, and celebrate. What a marvelous performance. The troupe bows as an invisible audience offers them a standing ovation. They are very playfully, see? Wouldn't you agree, Luke? What? The kobolds aren't they the funniest thing you've ever seen? Yeah, sure, funny. Funny little rascals ate my lunch, for sure. You can't blame them. They are so thin. Who knows what they last had proper meal? You can't blame them. They were so thin. Who knows when they last had a proper meal? Uh-huh. The griffin goes back to pouring. Pouring? Okay, poring over his reddened papers. You get up to check how he's doing. There's a celestial atlas on the table. Its pages are thoroughly scribbled with very faint pencil marks. On the margins are lists of names and dates. So, Luke, how's it going? Are the stars good tonight? Absolutely. You slip a few drinks. Oh, okay. I'm gonna drink water. I have, but I don't think even the secluded place I've ever visited was like this. Aye. Not a drop or light of pollution. If we were near a city, with buildings and homes, lampposts, what have you, the whole junk makes it hard to see the stars. But not a drop of that here, and I don't recognize the stars at all. Not a single one of them. Except maybe I see a string of stars that remind me of Hydra, but it might just be a look-alike. I might have an answer to that, Luke. Did it cross your mind that we might not be in the Northern Hemisphere? Perhaps this is all you're familiar with. It did, in fact. And that ain't it. Plus, I'll have you know, I know my way around the Southern Celestial Hemisphere. If there's one thing, this bird brain here knows it's the stars. As you may expect, there's no telephone or GPS signal here either. So there's no way of knowing for sure where on Earth we are. Oh. As you may expect, there's no telephone or GPS signal here either. So there's no way of knowing for sure where on Earth we are. But no place on Earth would have the sky like this. So my hypothesis is we aren't on Earth at all. At all. Ha! Is this your first time facing something deeply supernatural, Luke? I thought you'd be more acquainted with the circumstances. Excuse me, I don't come from a mystical Far East mystical, Mr. Dragon God. Back home we don't have none of this shit. So why don't you enlighten us about what's going on then? Oh well, you're coming from the wrong angle. You see, magic isn't meant to be broken down into human science, Luke. It just is what it is. Sorry, Chief, but that won't do it for me. I'm in love with this sky, and I want to make it all mine. He looks up with the crown of stars over his head. One could forget this man's lecherous nature and crass jokes. For the night, he carries well the majesty of the American's bald eagle. For the night, he carries well the majesty of America's bald eagle. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine if this whole place was just another planet? What this could mean for mankind? Maybe I could. It'd be such a pain in the ass, but maybe I would look into finding a star in common with Earth sky. But wait, what? Maybe I could. It'd be such a pain in the ass, but maybe I could look into finding a star in common with the Earth sky. But I don't even know where to start with that if I'm wrong with Hydra. Maybe if I... What are you doing, Luke? Mapping the skies, boss. Mapping the sky, boss. I can't let this opportunity pass by. I was talking with Asterion a few nights ago, and he told me no one mapped the sky out. At least he don't think anyone did, so I'm doing it. You mind if I make up constellations and give them names? If Asterion is fine with it, then so am I. Wait, what? I was just gonna let him do it if he wants. We don't need it. I see. Well, in that case, we'll just be sure. Would it be okay if I named one after my brother? I don't see why not. Thanks. This is his dream come true. Thanks. This is a dream come true. Brother, you say? That's right. Peter was his name. We used to stargaze as kids, and he'd come up with all the weirdest constellations you could imagine. Brother. Androgeos' hand covered the Minotaur's. Androgeos' hand covered the Minotaur's. A rough and callous mitt on top of his fingers, covered only by a dusting of fur. For 2 weeks, he taught his baby brother how to pull an arrow from a quiver, how to fit its notch into a bowstring, how to pull it with the back and not the arms. Acquiring the strength to pull a string came easily to a growing calf, as steering of the steppe wide back. That's what Androgeos called him, the archer's son. The dexterity to notch the arrows and aim eluded him. However, it was years before the young hybrid could let loose a proper sequence of arrows. But one day, Androgeos' teachings collapsed inward. Perhaps something changed in the Minotaur's eyes, or a blessing took root in his hands. All he learned was made flesh. And from then on, his progress was nothing short of prodigious. From that day onwards, once every other week or so, their father would rise early to watch their practices, to have his undivided attention as targets after target fell, until it all came to an end. Androgeos, how short our time was together. And yet, few left such an everlasting impression in me. If only I had remained in Hades. Peter was such a cheeky son of a bitch. I haven't even got the question wrong in the exam once. I even got a question wrong on the exam once, Turns out, there's such a thing called an Argos constellation, though there's an Argos Navi. And the bastard got that one too. When I came out, he was laughing his ass off at me. He just knew from my face I'd gotten it wrong. In my defense, that one is from the southern hemisphere, so it's not like back then I had a chance to see it for myself. I see. So you had a good relationship then? Hell yeah. How about you, blue boy? Got any siblings back where you come from? Any brothers? I wonder, what does it take? What is it that man... Wait, what? I wonder, what is it that makes two men brothers? Being born to the same parents? Being raised together? Well, yeah. Is that so? Well, regardless. I had a brother once upon a time. A red-skilled dragon more apt in martial arts than I. I, on the other hand, found my aptitude in priesthood and scholarship. Still, we got along well with one another. Like two halves of the whole, as the shrine priests would say. And indeed, we would have our disagreements and arguments, but they never mattered much in the end. Onsen, then, and I, we... Oh, that was his name. Onsen and I, we... The dragon loses himself in reminiscence for a moment. Then the smile drops off his face. Of course, circumstances made us go our separate ways in the end. Oh. You know where he is? How he's doing? Who knows? Androgeos, I never asked if you were like the other, I never asked if you liked feathers. What? Androgeos, I never asked if you liked the feathers. That night was much like this. I aimed my bow at a star, if somehow my arrow could reach it, and set it loose. 3 times I fired an arrow, then it fell. Phronios and I prepared to fire, our sacrifice to you, feathers of holy bird. As for Phronios, we had no common blood, but we were brothers just the same. That night we partied and drowned the embers with wine, and you told me to. Forsake the labyrinth. We can worship the gods all the same, but pay their due respect in our own hearth and build a shrine around it. Asterion. You could have your own freedom if we build our own faith. You can have your own freedom if you build your own faith. Asterion, are you listening? The Minotaur looks up to the dragon, lips sealed, as if words cut through his own. Words cut through his own thoughts. He takes a swig from his wine bottle. Pardon me, what did you say? I was asking, do you have any siblings? Yes, brothers and sisters. Do you mind if I ask where they are now? They aren't around anymore. Quite a while since we last talked. I see. That's quite a peculiar to me. I've traveled a lot. I've seen the world, and yet I had never seen a minotaur with my own eyes. In fact, all the myths and legends, it is widely believed minotaurs didn't exist, or at least don't anymore. Would you mind telling me about your siblings' names? The Minotaur raises his eyes from the lyre. The Griffin and Dragon had seen much of the labyrinth's mysteries by now, but he hadn't told him. Neither did the Master. He assumed. Neither did the Master assume. He assumed, but his true nature. Wait, oh my God. The Griffin and the Dragon had seen much of the labyrinth's mysteries by now, but he hadn't told him, and neither did the Master. He assumed, but his true nature. Did the dragon learn about it somehow? Phronios was my brother. Is that so? A very Greek name, just like yours. Is that a family tradition? It's our culture. Greek culture? Or perhaps... it was my brother who first called me Luke. Did yours ever give you a nickname, Asterion? Yes, he used to call me Little Star. Little Star, huh? That's the name of a hymn my mom used to sing to me. Would you care to hear it? If you would like to share it, yes. How wise you look, Little Star, away, up yonder in the sky. How many years you've twinkled there, above the world so high. Little star away up yonder, tell me, were you shining then? Did you hear the angels singing, peace God will to amen? Oh, to men. I often wonder if where you are, when Christ lay in the stall, and if you saw from your dizzy height the infant Lord of all. If you had listened on that night, could you have heard the song that floated down from the midnight air, from the angelic throng? Oh yes, a wise little star are you, yet not a word to say. You watch on all night You watch all night o'er the drowsy earth, and sleep along the day. Pretty, huh? Well, yes, it is. Now, that this little diversion is resolved, Lucian, Asterion, today Luke and I went to the bedrock. That's where we found the kobolds. I hope you don't mind, but I looked over some of the contracts and documents stored there. What I found was... Yes, you found what? What you found is... Go on, say it. Now you know the truth. I am Asterion, the Minotaur. Yes, but... What did you do to deserve this? I displeased the gods. That alone warrants punishment. You should know that well enough considering your age and precedence. No, that's not even scratching the surface. There has to be more than the story. There are millions of mortals who went far beyond displeasing the gods. They worship and cannot believe any received a punishment so severe as yours. Was it murder? Cannibalism? That is the legend after all. Coda, stop. He doesn't want to talk about it. That I see, but we have the right to know what this is and all about, and whatever it is, He did. No matter how big or small, it's already been paid 100 times over. I suppose you are correct on that. Still, it does not answer what exactly it's going on here. For instance, you, Lucien, if I understood correctly, your role of being in all this is torturer. I have not seen anything too egregious in our interactions, but you did send Asterion out to that valley. No grave injury came out of it, but please, you must understand, I cannot and will not work in a place that tortures someone. There is no magic, no amount of gold, nothing that will convince me to do it. So please, I must know what is going on here. Lucien, look, I didn't want to bring it up tonight. I'm still freaked out and all trying to get a hold of it. And I ain't sure just saying it just like Coda did is what I'd do. But hell, I'm with him here. I've done my fair share of fucked up stuff in my life. I'm no saint, but that's all behind me now. I gotta know what this whole labyrinth thing is. So, now that the cat's out the bag, would you mind? You gather your thoughts from the night you received the deed from finding Asterion in the cold room and everything that came after. What an absurd story it is. And it's been less than 2 weeks since you arrived here. As you string the facts together, it becomes clear how absurd it is, and that the mere idea of having absolute power over this realm and Asterion is objectionable enough. More so, considering you did send Asterion to the valley. But still, you tell them your version of it until Asterion in the cold room, which is when the Minotaur jumps in and begins corroborating the story, if not telling his own version. He does, however, omit how you sent him out upon Argos' request. It does not take more than 15 minutes to get them up to speed. Asterion, Lucien, I don't know what to say. So that's why you looked different last night. But why didn't you tell us? The less people know, the more I can just live. Ignore it all and enjoy what I have. It is only because you went to the valley and saw what it holds that I'm willing to speak. Regardless, but that was a story I had no interest in ever sharing. Is there no way to set you free? There must be. If there was, I assume you'd have achieved it by now. Indeed, I am yet to see a hint of a way out. Luke turns his back to the celestial maps, but gazes instead at his feet. Coda looks off to the road and runs a hand over his beard. Asterion draws a breath, holds it, lets it out in a hoarse wheeze. Even the kobolds interrupting their roughhousing, now they sit by a rock, few feet away to watch Asterion. None of them directs as much as a glance towards you, but their presence bears on you regardless. You are the boss, after all. If anyone has legitimacy to speak and take the reins, it's you. The events from this afternoon are still fresh. That's a good start. Regardless of whether or not I can do my part. We were talking earlier today about it. For all the intents and purposes, Asterion is my business partner. We work together, make decisions after consulting each other, even live under the same roof. Asterion said there's no way I could make that official here. And indeed, the labyrinth may have its contracts and laws. It may stop me from signing a document about it. But we don't need paperwork for this. The truth speaks for itself. If we all acknowledge the fact that Asterion and I are equal partners, everyone knows it. Then that's the truth. And you can make me accountable for it, right? Now that you know the truth about the valley, what will you do if I ever send Asterion out again? Well, that's not right. We? That's not right. We'd stop you. That's right. Even if you didn't outright restrain me, you could disobey me by let's say, that's right. Even if you didn't outright restrain me, you could disobey me by me. That's right. Even if you didn't outright restrain me, you could disobey me by, let's say, going on a strike. None of you have to trust me to do the right thing out of the goodness of my heart. You can stop or pressure me. And if we keep this up for long enough, for decades, I'll be a hotel's manager. Then, when the next one comes around, he won't have a choice either, will he? Everyone will expect Asterion to be treated as a partner. That's all they'll ever be known. All these restraints will pass on to him. People will demand it. We can't know for sure what the future holds, but this could be enough to keep you safe, Asterion. It might be a deterrent against other people like Clement in the future. I am not sure that will resolve all forms of future use issues, but regardless, it sounds like a good idea. Yeah, it does sound good. But if someone wanted to do something fucked up, yeah, it does sound good, but if someone wants to do something fucked up, it would really stop them. It wouldn't really stop them. I mean, even if you wanted to do something bad, you could still do it behind closed doors. Hell, if Code and I aren't paying attention, you could still send Asterion out to the creepy valley. Asterion, is there a way we could use some sort of hotel's magic to deal with this? Could there be something you could use? I have an idea. I'm not sure it can work. Asterion, I recall you saying that I can't forbid myself from sending you out. But I was thinking, could we set up something that would do something I'd rather avoid? Wait, could we set up something that would do something I'd rather avoid if I send you out? A simple request, really. If a condition is realized, then an unpleasant consequence is triggered. Too many such contracts have been crafted over millennia, so much so that there are dozens at the bedrock. And yet, if any to restrict, if any, and yet if few, if any, to restrict the all-powerful master. There is one contract he could use, one the Minotaur is well acquainted with. Yet his neck bristles. He grits his teeth and bites his tongue. What hubris even consider putting his master through such infamy? Or a friend, for that matter. There is no way anyone could accept it. Lucian will refuse, but then at least the Minotaur will be able to breathe free of doubt. The charade will be over. There is something we can do, but I'm afraid you won't like it, my lord. I am aware of the old contract that can create a pair of linked artifacts. It's been used a few times by the lords of past. What does it do? Are you sure this is what you want? Would you really go as far as restricting yourself to accomplish this? The contract creates two armbands, one in the form of a laurel wreath, one simple ring of lead. One in a simple ring of lead. We established clauses, the conditions we wish to stop from ever coming true. Let's say we intend to stop you from sending me out to the valley. Then you would dawn on the lead ring. I would take the laurel wreath, and we sign the contract with two eyewitnesses. Then it would stop me from doing it. Then would it stop me from doing it? Strictly speaking, no. What it would do is inflict a punishment on you if it were ever come true. What's the punishment? It would amputate your arm. That's quite a punishment. My arm is so coming off. It is the lead ring cannot be removed either, unless the contract is revoked, by the consent of both parties and all eyewitnesses. But if you want to prove to me that you have no ill will, then this is your chance. I can get the contract now, tonight. I already know where the terms I want. Okay. What do you have in mind? That I shall not be forced or coerced to go into the valley. That is all I want. If you're telling the truth, if that you don't want me to bring harm and wish you to realize the hotel's mission, then this condition should not be controversial. I have no businesses in the valley. For centuries before Clement... Oh, wrong voice. I have never had a reason to go there, and no master saw a reason to either. This clause does not specify who forces or coerces me to go to the valley, mind you. If this term is signed, then it will be in your best interest to protect me from anyone who would. I don't want you to be harmed either. You have been a good master, so you can expect me to defend you from any of those who wish to try to force you. If what you say is tonight is true, if you truly wanted me to take your business partner, if what you say tonight is true, if you truly want me to become your business partner, this is the one thing that will convince me once and for all. I want to never go to the valley again. That's all I want. Give me this one thing and I will follow you. Not because you're my master, but because I'll know you. That you meant all this is that you said. That you meant all that you said. Wait, I can do this? That's dumb. Also though, I gotta ask, why is Coda not wearing pants? Like seriously, what is this? Jesus, Coda. Get some pants. Yeah, let's do this. Prepare the contract. Yay, he's smiling. 4 shadows bathed in red light, huddled around a table overlooked by starry sky. A dry, thick piece of parchment, a hand-written scrawl, clauses and terms muttered between bouts and coughing ideas growing like the spiderwebs until touching and being woven together. The Minotaur draws a script you are unfamiliar with, something more ancient than the very alphabet it slurs, it fades in and out, then rebuilds itself into words and sentences, each paragraph bound and latched onto each other, each clause cut open and studied and put back together a dozen times, until it becomes frightfully a web of cause and consequences. Should a Styrian ever go to the valley as a result of force or coercion, you'll meet a grisly fate. Sweat drips from the Minotaur's forehead. Nah, whatever. Sweat drips from the Minotaur's forehead. He wipes it with a shaking hand, looks over to you, and averts his gaze. The first draft is done. It's left to sleep and age as all of you look up to the stars and share a moment of silence. Coda rubs his temples as he strains to catch his sentences amidst the red light. Luke looks up to the stars. His concentration is gone. The kobolds are folding a few pieces of paper. You and Asterion stand a foot away from each other. You look away, the moment lingering, before gazing into each other's eyes. Then the moon, the stars, and finally the Minotaur's hands. Return to the contract, read it aloud, weigh every word against each other. Each part's burden and boon. Then start anew. A fresh parchment, a paint to picture again. Then start anew. A fresh parchment of paint. The picture again. This time, with a comma here and a period there. Such a human thing, to prize precision in every sentence. Gods, back in their time, could not care about pains and sorrows of mortal men. Whatever promises the Olympians made were vague and careless. But humans have so much to lose and little to gain. Even this undying Minotaur man in all of its shape. But you, good master, what brought you to this ugly land, to this empty and abandoned hotel? There were our dark, inauspicious paths you could have wended, and ones of great glory too. This is where you are, however. We sitting at the sidelines can only hope it was the moment you sought. Ah, would it be excessive of us to assume you come here to undo the hybrid's shackles. What an odd master you are. Hundreds came before you, but none are so foolish as to do what you're so about to do. Humanity is peculiar indeed. Forgive us if we wander, but the question gnaws. Did mankind change with the times, or are you perhaps rare, fine specimen? Ah, the Minotaur stirs. It's time, our good lord. The contract's ready, Lucian. Coda steps forward and reads the contract out loud. By the will of Labyrinth Master, his binding contract is established, so it may enforce its contents upon the world and its people. Hereby, the Master commands into existence 2 linked objects, a lead ring to fit around a man's bicep, and a laurel wreath as wide as a prisoner's arm. These 2 objects shall be linked in cause and effect, as will their wearers. Whoever dons the lead ring will find it impossible to be removed, except through revoking this contract. Whoever dons the laurel wreath shall become its permanent, unchangeable owner. If the owner of the laurel wreath is ever made to go out of the Labyrinth Valley, either by coercion, command, or forcing, then the lead ring shall constrict and close as to amputate the bearer's arm. By the Master's will, this contract may only be revoked if all parties bearer of the lead ring, owner of the laurel wreath, and the 2 eyewitnesses present during the signing consent to it. Such is the Master's will. Master, is this truly what you want? Yes, I told you before earlier today. And I mean it, Asterion. Yes, I told you earlier today, and I mean it, Asterion. Did you accept me to go back on my word, now that we're putting consequences on the table? Yes, I did. I could not imagine a master accepting conditions so absurd. I suppose you're wrong, but there's no reason to feel bad. Sometimes that's a good thing. You take the pen and sign the contract. The contract shudders in your hand. Its paper turns thicker, almost leathery in texture. You sign the oath of binding rings. You can reread the terms in the Files menu. The 2 rings materialize on the table. Asterion takes the lead one, and you take the laurel wreath. And when you return to each other, Asterion, I promise not to send you into the valley under any circumstances, and I swear I'll protect you from those who attempt to. I swear by my arm, knowing well the consequence to breaking my word, but I do it with my mind at peace. There's no reason why I would ever transgress this rule. I promise to be a good master. In this hotel, I promise to be a good master. You in this hotel deserve. Master Lucian, your kindness and piety are unmatched. This contract asks nothing of me. Regardless, I will offer my binding word in your favor. I promise to protect you, as is my duty, and to keep away from this land any who would threaten you by this mean. I promise to protect you, as is my duty, and to keep away from this land any who would threaten you by means of our oath. Wait, are we in the valley like right now? Hold up. Kind of. I don't know. I swear I'll do everything possible within it or without my reach, so that you will never regret your mercy. Well then now? Excuse me, Coda. There is something I would like to add. Indeed, Asterion, the contract asks nothing of you, which is why I will require the one thing now. I do not care to register this paperwork, or if it can be made into a contract in the first place, but I want you to fulfill this simple request. What is it, my lord? Effective now, you will accept your place as my business partner, and from now on, you will call me by my name. Yes, Lucian, I will accept your request. If there are no more objections, then, Asterion, Lucian, you extend your left arm, and the Minotaur gingerly slides the ring until it fits around your bicep. It does not, however, constrict or bother. It feels like it's barely grazing your skin, even if it's firm and unmoving. The Minotaur extends his arm, and you do the same. Slide the lower wreath with its sleeves caressing Asterion's fur until it fits around his bicep. It's done. Good master. Your little ceremony, this peculiar rite, it binds you to ease the prisoner's load. What an odd pair. These rings befit you, and that gallant ceremony. And what a gallant ceremony. And now, you may kiss the bride. And now, you may open your mouth to spoil the moment, you uncouth peasant. Always. Something tugs your pants. A little guy glares at you, a good foot of distance away, then shoots out his arm to offer you something. A little paper rose. You only have the time to grasp it before it runs off with another. You only have the time to grasp it before he runs off to hide behind a rock. Oh, Lucian, he wanted to give you a gift. Huh. I guess you're right. They can be cute. Of course I am right. Why would you ever doubt me? The two... Oh, that's the hotel. Oh my god. The two go on to bicker The two go on to bicker as is their wont. The two go on to bicker as is their wont. You watch this with Asterion by your side. The both of you bathed in the red lamplight from below, and the moonlight white's form from above. Behind stands the hotel, tall and kingly, a wall between you and the horrible valley. Asterion's arm is warm against yours. This time, there is no frightened recoiling or tense shuddering. The wind rushes past and around you, and this time the both of you lean together. Who is it that began it? You cannot tell. Lucian, wouldn't you say this calls for a drink? I don't think so. Yes, but Luke only brought us watered down beer. We could share a bottle of wine back at the hotel. I would enjoy that. It would make for a memorable end to this night. Such a tiny ember, but its heart beats red nonetheless. The two of you return home, bumping shoulders as you go. The night the Minotaur is welcomed into the restful slumber, and the following day, for its first time since the Second World War, he allows himself a day of uneventful peace. Hades. Guys, this is long. The Minotaur and Charon, ferrymen of the dead, sailed down across the river Styx. The journey was brief but not unpleasant. Left and right, the newly dead looked to the spires of raw rock jutting from the ground in shapes both familiar, temples, homes, palaces, and incomprehensible edifices. What? That's a weird word. Edifices that defied geometry and logic. The world of the dead lacked sunlight, but so did its objects lack a shadow. Everything shone was a humble light from within. Even the Styx waters glimmered, so clear that the Cretan prince could gaze into the depths. To their restful sandbank, peppered with gemstones and silver. Asterion hummed along with the ferryman's rowing, and when a drop of boredom fell on his mind, he took to this. Asterion hummed along with the ferryman's rowing, and when Asterion hummed along with the ferryman's rowing, and when a drop of boredom fell on his mind, he took for a swinging. First, every song he was ever taught, then new ones that meandered along the boat. Asterion hummed along with the ferryman's rowing, and when a drop of boredom fell on his mind, he took to singing. First, every song he was ever taught, then new ones that meandered along the boat. He sang until the knot of his throat was undone, and then they arrived. Ahead was an empire of rock, gemstone, and metal, which rose from the ground in the shape of a temple, but the grandeur of a palace. Smaller than the palace of Knossos, thought the Minotaur, ignoring that this is the memories of the place. What the heck, guys? Ahead, smaller than the palace of Knossos, thought the Minotaur, ignoring that his memories of the place come from the eyes of a child. Left and right were tall stone walls, which had been carved down into bars. He could see the realm of Hades beyond, fields of crocus and grapes, fields of crocus and grapes, pastures where tall, horned goats and cows grazed. Guards of Hades approached with spears standing tall, as if expecting a struggle, as the newly dead were not known for their compliance, but upon seeing this visage, they stopped where they stood. The hybrid prince bowed and spoke with a voice so clear, so song-like, they felt as if an old friend and lord was addressing them. He asked for directions to his destiny, and they complied, pointed him to the palace, where the dead were judged. They guided him for the first half, passing the crowds of ailing souls that were yet to accept their own passing before it became clear this subject required no oversight. For the second half of the journey, thus they followed him, instead and talked. They asked of Crete, cradle of civilization, and Asterion boasted about their fields of crocus and how they swayed in the wind. The prince asked about life in Hades. What trials does the Lord of good counsel see fit to impose of the subjects? Their response came in booming, fearless voices. If you are deemed a hero as your visage, would you imply then the fields of Elysium await you, where you'll find existence lacking in tragedy? As for us men of little glory, the asphodel of meadows are where we make our home. We exist as if we're still alive, toiling but not suffering, enjoying neither privilege nor curse. My friend, are your words My friend, your words are kind, and you need not flatter. My visage is as far from heroic as one can be, and I have lived. Okay. My friend, your words are kind, and you need not flatter. My visage is far from heroic as one can be, and I have lived without merit worthy of praise. Is that so? Make no mistake, I speak no flattery. You bear a likeness most familiar to us, guards of Hades, albeit inverted. If your tongue is honest and you bear no glory worthy of praise, then I pray you consider my advice. One such as you would be welcome addition to our ranks. Questions swam into the prince's mind. So many, yet only one could be picked at a time. Picked at a time. As much as he wished to know of his future, the past still had an allure he could not resist. Friends, please speak without fear. What could you mean by my appearance being familiar? Could it be you've seen here folk like me, cursed with the likeness of a bull? Not like you, but among the elite of Hades, you'll find a bull-eyed men from the Cretan lineage. Their voices meander just as much as yours. Their greatness is well known and unmatched. That is why I cannot believe you are a humble, mediocre soul. Greatness follows in your blood, just as much as it falls on your horns. They come upon a hall as tall as the palace of Knossos, polished stone from top to bottom, with gemstones encrusted where they birthed. At the end of the hall stood 3 podiums which the judge, a bull-eyed man with the tan skin and garments so familiar to the Cretan prince. With his step-wide shoulders, standing proud, the bull met his fate head first. Alright, I'm gonna stop it here, guys. It has been a long time. But thank you all for probably reading along. This is terrible, I believe, but I will try to edit to my best possibilities. I don't think there's any issues going on so far. Well, besides the super long delay in this video. Yeah, I plan to get more videos ready within earlier dates next time. And I also plan to... Yeah, well, whatever. Thank you all for reading, watching, / listening along. Possibly reading because this sucked, but thank you all for everything. Oh yeah, thanks for the 5 subs. We're almost close to 10. Have a good night, or a good morning, or a good day. Farewell.